ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। कृष्णप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतेरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। मम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशकारिणी। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि और भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Okay, on 535. यतत्र क्रियते कर्म भगवत्परितोषणम् ज्ञानं यत्तद् अधीनं हि भक्तियोगः समन्वितम्. Whatever work is done here in this life for the satisfaction of the mission of the Lord is called Bhakti Yoga, or transcendental loving service to the Lord. And what is called knowledge becomes a concomitant factor. And so, such an easy definition of Bhakti Yoga. Whatever is done for the satisfaction of the mission of the Lord. And so, Lord has a mission. We have to work for the satisfaction of His mission. And His mission is carried down in the parampara by all the acharyas. Their approaches might be different, but the mission is the same. So we have to use our life for the satisfaction of the mission of the Lord. The general and popular notion is that by discharging fruitive activity in terms of the direction of the scriptures, one becomes perfectly able to acquire transcendental knowledge for spiritual realization. So this is the from karma, then one comes to jnana. This is what this is saying. Bhakti yoga is considered by some to be another form of karma, but factually Bhakti yoga is above both karma and jnana. Bhakti yoga is independent of jnana or karma. On the other hand, jnana and karma are dependent on bhakti yoga. So that is why here it is being said that knowledge becomes a concomitant factor. Concomitant factor means like supporting factor or dependent factor, accompanying, attendant factor. Mm. So which means that jnana doesn't result in bhakti. With bhakti, jnana becomes like a supportive factor, like a attendant factor. And this jnana is not the Brahma jnana. This is Bhagavan, knowledge of Bhagavan. This Kriya Yoga or Karma Yoga, as recommended by Sri Narada to Vyasa, is specifically recommended because the principle is to satisfy the Lord. The Lord does not want his sons, the living beings, to suffer the threefold miseries of life. He desires that all of them come to him and live with him. But going back to Godhead means that one must purify himself from material infections. You're all badly materially infected. When work is performed, therefore, to satisfy the Lord, the performer becomes gradually purified from the material affection. This purification means attainment of spiritual knowledge. Now, how is this? How does this work? When people work without attachment for the for to offer something to Krishna, to the Supreme Lord, right? They don't have much knowledge about Supreme Lord, this, that, and all that in Karma Yoga. What they do is they have propensity to karma, and somebody says you have to offer something to the Supreme Lord. So as a matter of duty, they will just start offering. What happens by this offering? By offering, slowly and steadily, they'll start realizing, okay, so this money is not all mine. Actually, I have to offer it to the Lord. So slowly, steadily, by this process of purification, they will come to understand, saying that, okay, whom am I offering this money to? To Lord. Who is the Supreme Lord? Who am I? So slowly they will come to the stage of attaining spiritual knowledge. It's not immediate. It requires purification. Similarly, which is why we also I've been saying that even grihasthas have to offer Lakshmi in the service of Krishna, because that purifies the karma. And slowly and steadily, we can then get fixed on the platform of bhakti. For us, we are not necessarily coming to the platform of jnana, but even to be fixed on the platform of bhakti, the problem is this material infection. So when we offer the results of our karma to Krishna, then slowly, steadily, we will start here understanding about Krishna, hearing more about Krishna, and we can become more fixed in bhakti yoga. But for a person attached to karma, he should, in order to purify himself, he should offer the results to Supreme Lord. He might not know who the Supreme Lord is, but he should offer. Therefore, knowledge is dependent on karma or work done on behalf of the Lord. Other knowledge, being devoid of bhakti yoga or satisfaction with the Lord, cannot lead one back to kingdom of God, which means that it cannot even offer salvation, as already explained in connection with the stanza, Naishkarmyam api achyuta bhava varjitam. So if somebody wants liberation, salvation, just by doing jnana, they can't do. They have to do jnana yoga. There also connection with the Lord has to come. So actually it is said that that little bit of bhakti they have to do. So what nanis do is they worship some form of the like get engaged in deity worship, right? Thinking that it's an anga of their jnana marga. Either way, because they are doing, uh, they will do bhakti to Vishnu. They will do some deity worship to Vishnu, some form of Mishra Bhakti, and only then they will get the result of their jnana. So, jnana and karma also without bhakti cannot give results. Bhakti is so powerful. The conclusion is that a devotee engaged in the unalloyed service of the Lord, specifically in hearing and chanting of his transcendental glories, becomes simultaneously spiritually enlightened by the divine grace, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. So, this is the conclusion, that one has to be engaged in the unalloyed service of the Lord. Uh, so this is the mission of the Lord, to take everybody back home, back to Godhead, for which we have to engage in Shravanam and Kirtanam. And if you have to do Kirtanam, we will have to know about the Lord. So knowledge becomes Janeti Ashu Vairagyam Jnanam cha Yadahaitukam. So Gnana and Vairagya automatically should manifest if we are doing bhakti properly. Okay. Kurvana yatra karmani bhagavachikshaya sakrit grananti gunanamani krishnasyanusmaranti cha. Very rarely in Bhagavatam, Krishna appears in verses. While performing duties according to the order of Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one constantly remembers him, his names, and his qualities. So, this is the path of Karma Yoga. Again, right? So, when somebody is performing duties according to the order of Sri Krishna, he constantly remembers him, his name, and his qualities. An expert devotee of the Lord can mold his life in such a way that while performing all kinds of activities, either for this or the next life, he can constantly remember the Lord's name, fame, qualities, etc. The order of the Lord is distinctly there in the Bhagavad Gita. One should work only for the Lord in all spheres of life. In every sphere of life, the Lord should be situated as the proprietor. According to Vedic rites, even in the worship of some demigods like Indra, Brahma, Saraswati, Ganesha, the system is that in all circumstances, the representation of Vishnu must be there as Yagneshwara, or the controlling power of such sacrifices. And that is why at the end of any sacrifice, normally we hear the mantra Krishna Arpanamastu. It is recommended that a particular demigod be worshipped for a particular purpose, but still the presence of Vishnu is compulsory in order to make the function proper. Okay. Okay. Apart from such Vedic duties, even in our ordinary dealings, so different kinds of duties. So one is Vedic duties, then ordinary dealings. For example, in our household affairs or in our business or profession, we must consider the result of all activities must be given over to the Supreme Enjoyer, Lord Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita, The Lord has declared himself to be the supreme enjoyer, Bhoktaram Yagnatapasam, supreme proprietor, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, and supreme friend of all beings, Suhridam Sarvabhutanam. No one else but Lord Sri Krishna can claim to be the proprietor of everything within his creation. A pure devotee remembers this constantly, and in doing so, he repeats the transcendental name, fame, and qualities of the Lord, which means that he is constantly in touch with the Lord. A pure devotee remembers this constantly, that I am not the proprietor, and conditioned soul remembers this, that tries to remember this always. I am the proprietor. I am here for enjoyment. A pure devotee remembers that the Lord is the supreme proprietor, and in doing so, in remembering him, what does he do? He repeats the transcendental name, fame, qualities of the Lord. The Lord is identical with his name, fame, etc. And therefore, to be associated with his name, fame, etc. constantly means actually to associate with the Lord. This we keep hearing, but somehow don't, it doesn't register in us. Okay, here comes the major portion of our monetary income, not less than 50%, must be spent to carry out the order of the law of Lord Krishna. Not only should we give the profit of our earning to this cause, but we must also arrange to preach this cult of devotion to others, because that is also one of the orders of the Lord. So very, very clear instruction. One has to give at least 50%, Prabhupada is saying, and also preach. Arrange to preach. Arrange to preach, not if we cannot preach ourselves, we can arrange to preach. Yeah. The Lord definitely says that no one is more dear to him than one who is always engaged in the preaching work of the Lord's name and fame all over the world. The scientific discoveries of the material world can also be equally engaged in carrying out his order. Yeah, scientific discoveries, aeroplane, computer, etc. He wants the message of the Bhagavad Gita to be preached amongst his devotees. What does this mean? So even without knowing, I mean, when we preach Bhagavad Gita, who gets attached to it, who gets attracted to it, are devotees. So then their devotion is awakened, and then they follow the path. So it is preached amongst his devotees, because anyway non-devotees can't understand, and they will come for some time and then go off. It may not be so. It may not be so done amongst those who have no credit of austerities, charity, education, etc. Therefore, the attendant must go on to convert unwilling men to become his devotees. So Prabhupada is saying that before we can actually preach Bhagavad Gita, uh, we have to, those who don't have credit, they have to be converted to devotees. So the attendant must go on to convert unwilling men to become his devotees. So we can't just ignore them. So how do we convert these unwilling men to become devotees? By prasadam and kirtanam. Then we bring them to shravanam. So this also is practically, we keep seeing that not everybody is hooked on to shravanam. That is why this whole program that we do of uh, class uh, Bhakti Viksha, Namahata, whatever we are doing, is to not just do Shravanam. There should be Kirtanam, then there should be Aarti, there should be Shravanam, then there should be Prasadam. So what happens is then slowly, steadily, those unwilling men will become devotees. Hmm. Lord Chaitanya has taught us a very simple method in this connection. He taught the lesson for preaching the transcendental message through singing, dancing, and refreshment. See, this is what we are doing. As such, 50% of our income may be spent for this purpose, for singing, dancing, refreshment in this fallen age of quarrel and dissension. If only the leading and wealthy persons of society agree to spend 50% of their income in the service of the Lord, as it is taught by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there is absolute certainty of converting this hell of a pandemonium to the transcendental abode of the Lord. How? Why Prabhupada is saying this? Anybody wants to say why, if wealthy persons agree to spend 50%, how can we convert this hell to the transcendental abode of the Lord?
We can have more temple, more association,
Yeah, next
and
line is answering. No one will disagree to partake in a function where good singing, dancing, and refreshment are administered. Now, to be able to do all this requires a lot of money, right? Every time we keep telling people saying that, you know, two, three centers of preaching that we are trying to do, it costs us more than 60,000 rupees every month. You know? Now, if people give money, then we can run. So the more people give money, the more centers we can run, the more places. Uh, there can be more places where people can come together for kirtanam and prasadam, right? And everything costs money. Nothing can go free. Somebody was, we were distributing books. Somebody came and asked, what age this is? Even to get Bhagavad Gita, we have to pay money. I said, yeah, if the printer was giving us free, we would have given you free. We have no idea, no intention of making any money from this. Hmm. In fact, in our preaching area, we see that if we say 350 rupees for Bhagavad Gita, many people don't buy. So we end up giving 300 rupees, and from our donation, etc., we cover up that 50 rupees to be paid. Right. So it's difficult, but somehow we have to just go on, and more and more people are giving income in the service of the Lord. Actually, I'm very thankful. So many devotees here in this class session, and so many other devotees also are so kindly helping us every month. And the beginning of month, I make it a point to thank all of them for their generous service that they're doing, because that is what is helping us to continue this taking, for fulfilling the mission of the Lord, which is Prabhupada is so clearly saying here. Good singing, dancing, and refreshment. Good singing, for example, right? Simple. One, one nice music system. One, for just kirtanam. If you want to have a good sound system, it costs money. Our devotees wanted to get some good sound system, and it costed 25,000. And I was saying, no, wait, let's get some donation, etc. They said, no, we will get it. And then all of them pulled in money. They went and bought the system. Right, it's like this, the devotees have a desire, because okay, if you have good sound system, the people will like it nice more, etc., etc. So these sentiments are important, because that's when people will get attracted. Everyone will attend such a function, and everyone is sure to feel individually the transcendental presence of the Lord. Of course, the environment has to be like this. If it is just like some we're just doing without really putting our hearts into the service, then people will not feel the transcendental presence of the Lord. But we have to understand that this is the desire, this is the mission of the Lord, and we have to do whatever it takes to be able to, mm, do this. So then people will feel individual the presence of the Lord. And also, I keep telling many other preaching centers also, saying that please take prasadam from our temple. Don't try to cook, because we don't have that purity yet, in different places, to be able to actually cook in such a way that Lord may actually accept it. Right, but we are 150% or 1000% sure that Jagannath accepts, right? And every time we give this prasadam out to people, people are just, I mean, they just are affected by the by that mercy of prasadam. Mm. So this is also very, very important. This alone will help the attendants associate with the Lord, see, and thereby purify themselves in spiritual level realization. The only condition for successfully executing such spiritual activities is that they must be conducted under the guidance of a pure devotee who is completely free from all mundane desires, fruitive activities, and dry speculations about the nature of the Lord. This is what, if we simply strictly follow what Srila Prabhupada is taught us, then this, our activities come under the guidance of Srila Prabhupada. No one has to discover the nature of the Lord. Of course, in this, it's also very important that people who are engaged also don't have mundane desires, fruitive activities. They're not trying to use money, because we see in ISKCON many places, many times, this La Puja Pratishta spoils everything. Yeah, so if Krishna's mercy, if Krishna is sending people to our programs, etc., we should be humble and understand that it's just His mercy that they're coming. It's not because of our actions. And Krishna keeps sending money as well. And we should not think that, oh, money is coming. Okay, let me buy this, let me take that. And it's not for mundane desires. Right? Every penny should be used. And Prabhupada was so particular about maintaining accounts, etc., etc. And we're also very particular because that's the only way we can actually make sure that there isn't any kind of misappropriation that happens. Every penny that comes in, every penny that goes out needs to be tracked, right? And only then it can actually be used for the right purpose. No one has to discover the nature of the Lord. It is already spoken by the Lord Himself in the Bhagavad Gita, especially, and in all other Vedic literatures generally. We have simply to accept them in totality. Arjuna said, Krishya Vachanam Tava. Not like, Krishna, okay, you said so many things, maybe 20%, 30% I'll accept, rest I'm not ready to accept. No, we have to simply accept them in toto and abide by the orders of the Lord. That will guide us to the path of perfection. One can remain in his own position. This means that we don't have to change our job, we don't have to change our ashram. No one has to change his position, especially in this age of variegated difficulties. Yeah, it's very difficult. If somebody has to change their job and find something according to their varna, etc., it's not easy. The only condition is that one must give up the habit of dry speculation aimed at becoming one with the Lord. And after giving up such lofty, puffed up vanity, one may very submissively receive the orders of the Lord in the Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam from the lips of a bona fide devotee whose qualification is mentioned above. Qualification was this: completely free from mundane desires, fruitive activities, and dry speculations. That will make everything successful without a doubt. So the formula is not the ability. I mean, people say, "Oh, you have ability, so our preaching is successful." No, not our ability; it is our purity, and that's what will make preaching successful. Of course, we also have to do things nicely. It's not like we'll do kirtan and such that people will say, "Oh, no, 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 I don't want to hear this. It's so besura." No, we don't. Of course, Supreme Lord doesn't see raga and tala, but new people, neophytes will see all this. They want to hear, even if they're hearing some class, they want to hear something which they can relate to, which appeals to them, which they can connect with, etc. Right. So all this is important, but the most important thing is purity. Purity is the force, Prabhupada said. So if there's purity, all of these things will fall in place. Krishna will actually give us mercy, guidance, to make all these things happen nicely. But if there is no purity, if there are, mm, uh, people have mundane desires, self-centeredness, la puja pratishtha, then everything will be spoiled. And also another thing which Prabhupada repeatedly says is cooperate. We have to cooperate with each other. We cannot say it's either my way or highway. Meaning either you accept whatever I say, otherwise get lost. This will not help. And of course, when there are people involved in trying to do something, each person will have their own ideas, own plans, own thoughts, etc. As long as they're bona fide, all ideas are welcome, right? Maybe something will work, something will not work, etc. But it has to be bona fide and it has to be without this selfish desire for la puja pratishtha. As long as we can stick to those principles, then all preaching will become successful. Because Prabhupada is saying here, we don't have to speculate about this. Prabhupada is very clearly saying, just follow these principles and good singing, dancing, refreshment, everything will be successful without a doubt. So he's clearly explaining what it means to perform duties according to the order of Sri Krishna. So simply put, work, whatever you're doing, whatever Lakshmi you get, use as much as possible in to assist the preaching activities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada. That's all. As long as we can do that, Grihastha's life will become perfect. Of course, if somebody wants to do this even after Grihasthashram, meaning after their material response is over, then that cannot be 50%, that will have to be like 100% of the Lakshmi, right? Because then there is no need to have any money. Otherwise, simply stop all that and simply engage full time in direct Shravanam Kirtanam, which is better for us as we age. Okay. Okay. I think I'll stop here. Yeah, these are related shlokas, so I'll stop here. Any questions, comments? Feel free. Okay, no questions, no comments. Okay, nice. Good. So if there are no questions, no comments, that means topic is very clear. It has to become more and more clear, right? As we do more and more hearing, questions have to be less, answers have to be more, action has to be more. That means that we are making progress in our Shravanam. Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you all for
Prabhu,
joining.
can I just add one thing
Yeah,
over here?
please. Yeah.
In today's class, one of the realization what I had was, if we read the purport, I guess it is so simple. Prabhupada
Yeah.
has made it so simple that this is what you need to follow. Looks very simple. It's not complicated at all. But bringing it to practice, just because I'm like fallen so much, even these simple things are, it's complicated to get to action. That's
Uh,
what was one realization what I had.
yeah, I think more than simple things being complicated, we make it complicated. We don't want to keep them simple. That's where the issue is. Right? If you want to keep them simple, actually they can remain simple because the principles are pretty simple, right? But because of our complicated mind, our conditioning, our anarthas, we just complicate whatever has been given simple, whatever simple instructions have been given, right? So always that is why we have to keep our life also simple, and it helps. All this helps. It's actually very simple. I mean, what Prabhupada is saying is not complicated at all, right? We have to stick to the principles as long as we don't deviate, in the name of, uh, you know, time, place, circumstance. Mostly we should be able to, like Prabhupada is saying, successful preaching efforts can happen.
Agree, Prabhu. Agree. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Can I share a joke, Prabhu?
Please, yeah.
I was just telling Anukul now, just when when this devotee brought up this, it's so easy, but to execute is so. I said, Haribal, when you're working, your taxes are immediately cut 30%. Whatever you don't, the government cuts and give. तो मैंने कहा भगवान ने भी ऐसा कोई रूल किया होता है, ओके इतना प्रॉफिट है, मेरा 50%
कर
करके
देंगे
आ
ना,
गया।
कर देंगे ना, वो जोक नहीं है माताजी, अच्छा प्रपोजल है।
अरे नहीं,
हाँ।
और एक one person went to the temple. He told the Lord, if I get so much, I get 1,000 rupees, I'll give you 500 rupees if I make a profit. When he came back, he made a profit of, बोला जितना भी मैं कमाऊंगा, बोला he made a profit of 500. बोला क्या भगवान, पहले ही आपने काट के भेज दिया मेरे को. So that's exactly what we do. Exactly that.
Yeah, that's a good system. Actually, we should enroll people into this scheme. Good idea. Okay.
I thought just flashed. I was just telling Anukul, so
Good
just
idea.
wanted to share it.
Good idea. Good idea.
Hare
Okay.
Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, and Hare Krishna, that was pranam.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat Mata. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat Prabhu. Okay. Thank you all for joining. Krishna
Hare
willing,
Krishna.
we'll again meet tomorrow. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare